All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Let's see here, yeah, it is 1 o'clock. Notice the meeting was properly posted on Thursday, March 30th, 2017. Let's see here. We'll start with item number 3, discussion of possible action about process and procedures for fiscal year 17-18, budget reviews and recommendations. Has anybody thought about
how to tackle this now?
Yeah.
Can we hold up till Kelly gets back? We'll make sure we're recording.
Oh.
Let's draw straws.
My car doesn't smell like smoke.
Where you park?
Basement. Yeah, it will?
Yeah,
I hope it...
so heavy it just goes straight down. Now, if you have flooding issues, then
I'm sure it's okay.
Now, granted, they are using a lot of water to put that out, probably.
Well,
Someone says they can spraying cars.
especially down where you
Bad
are.
What's that?
Down there at the
There's enough water on
bottom.
Yeah, if it ever
area.
floods.
Except for paint a car once, they have to post.
I'll get a new car.
Are we good to go? Ready?
I just emailed Rob and told him he probably needs to come explain his, because they made quite a few changes just to their line items, but in the end, it's like $98,000 less, so.
Is juvenile coming by chance?
No, they sent explanations, that's why I asked you all, do you want them to be here? Looks like she probably did a pretty good job of explaining.
Okay, we're on item number 3, process and procedures. Basically how we're going to tackle this. Are there any thoughts?
I'm trying to think what we did last year after we heard from everyone. We just kind of went back through it again, just us.
Yeah, put everything in that big spreadsheet that showed the overalls and then broke things down line by line. So I think the ultimate document we ended up with was everyone as a baseline had the general fund that they were in the year that they could write. And then there was either a plus or a minus side to it of for the treasurer's office, we're going to go ahead and give X number of dollars. For the assessor's office, we're going to go ahead and take away X number of dollars. No.
Marty caught up with you, I heard this.
No. I think that's ultimately how we did it, right?
Yeah.
We kind of had a center, and then we went one way or the other.
By the time we were done, it seemed like we'd gone through it several times.
I had to take the opportunity.
This is the spreadsheet we kind of used last year. Just updated it with, obviously, with the current information.
Were you already subtracting there?
Well, yeah, that
Last year?
kind of took some liberties there. But,
Oh.
but that's just if you plug in, just take all the salary increases and plug those in.
What were the liberties you took?
All salary increases?
I could easily back those out. That's
Is that the raises everyone requested?
raises. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what we did last year. So
I was just
it was
wondering.
already linked. So
Clarify. People knew.
Later, better meetings.
and we could always work off the assumption what we've got this year to work off.
As far as revenue side,
Yeah.
that's, I think, a good place for us to start.
So with that, with all the requests, we are $10.2 million over and above what we have available.
Well, you've already shaved off one, too.
Yeah, you take out just the salary and benefit increases.
Infrastructure is actually meeting across the hall. Just go down just a little ways, it'll be your first door on the left.
Okay, thanks.
You bet. I don't know that that's the best place
He was
necessarily to
explaining.
start.
No, I know, it's not.
No.
He was just weird, yeah.
It was already.
It was a
Well,
spreadsheet, it was already
spreadsheet
linked
that
and
was
stuff.
linked, so just kind of show you what that would be right off the bat.
And Mike, we're on item number 3, discussing, yes, are you looking for infrastructure or BET?
I'm just looking for friends.
Friends.
Is infrastructure going on right now?
See, they're across the hall.
And we're probably on that agenda.
How are you, sir?
I don't think so. Okay.
I didn't get a copy of that this morning.
No, I think that they've got two items that they're addressing, and I don't think either of them
Okay.
are you. We're on agenda item number 3. We're kind of trying to start talking about a game plan for process and procedure. Last year, we kind of looked at what folks had the year before, and then did a plus or a minus based upon our review line by line, and that's what Danny was discussing there. Now, whether that's what everybody wants to do this year or not, I don't know, but that's kind of what we need to start doing, is getting a game plan together here. I mean, that is an option. And for lack of a better option, that is the option that we will use. So if anybody has a better option or some other way they want to, tackle this, please feel free to speak now.
Thought you had an idea, Kevin.
I have an algorithm. You ain't got no rhythm.
Danny, when you looked at, you said you backed out just the raises portion of it. Would it be beneficial to back out new positions and so forth as well?
So, yeah, we had done that before, but if nothing else, have it pulled into this to see what that would cost. It's nice seeing that figure, that 1.6, knowing what all the salaries.
And to see what the raises and the new positions truly affects the Ansel recommendation as far as increases or decreases.
And does the 1.6 include those departments that didn't ask for increases? I don't think that, because the department wasn't sure whether to ask for increases or not, that.
I think we had told them all to go at it and resubmit it.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what we were telling
Some
them.
didn't,
Right.
Keith Monroe chose not to.
Right.
So if you ask for raises, it's backed out. If you didn't ask for raises, then there's, of course, nothing to back out. And Danny already has a column there for the new positions.
Mhm.
Did anyone put an increase in health premium? I didn't see any requests for that this year.
No, I guess it's a new position and
With the
something
health.
associated with that
Yeah, I
position.
I guess.
So can you link those?
Well,
Is that what you're asking to do?
but beyond just the health premium, you would have salaries and benefits. I'm sorry, you would have benefits associated
Right.
with those.
That's why we have that
positions
one
as well.
particular section in there, so you can easily plug that number in.
Right. So maybe column B should be new positions, and then just in parentheses, you can put salary, benefit, and medical. And that way, we know that that's all included.
$10 million isn't too bad of a difference. That's what we lost last year. It's not too, it sounds big, but it's not too bad.
And, you've got new positions, excuse me, and you've got that plus sign there. You want to take that out and then in parentheses, put salary and benefits, so we know the salary is included in that as well. And then we also had the issue on some of the budgets of, for lack of a better term, I'll call it the double dipping of the medical premiums for individuals that float, that'll be paid out of a general fund account and a special revenue account. I noticed there were several
I thought we got that
departments.
fixed, did we not?
I don't know if they were fixed or not, but we did have
I don't know.
where it was budgeted for the full year of medical being paid out of both funds.
Yeah, District 2's were fixed.
I don't think we've done ours.
if that's been fixed on everybody's or not.
Marcy, yours is right?
Guess we can go through department by department.
Mhm.
If we had 2 screens, that would help.
Don't see how that's gonna happen. We could get a laptop going if you wanted
Yeah, I mean,
to.
we're not gonna put that in the budget, sorry. You can actually run that as a document on each side.
The what?
You can run that where it will pull 2 documents side by side and make it exactly half. And go to the very top where it says, just click on the title of the window, center of the window.
Fiscal year
No, where it says
2017,
fiscal year
general
20,
fund
yeah,
revenue.
go up, right, click in left hold. Left hold, that's right.
Sorry.
Now, left click hold and drag all to the left side of the screen. Keep going, no, all the way. There you go.
Well, looky there.
Yeah,
Learn
but-
something new every day.
And then you can get the other window on the right side. How about that? That's code. That's free information.
Thank you for that.
Like Houdini.
I pulled both up.
I move that we add $2.71 to the sheriff's budget request for next year for that awesome information that we just got.
Well, he talked about
Oh,
spending money.
yeah, I do that all the time.
Yeah. I'll pull them both up.
I thought you meant it was on the same
Yeah,
screen.
that's how I'm looking at things. How can we save money? Instead of buying 2 monitors, let's do that.
Thrifty.
Do what you gotta do.
Do I just send an invoice to you or council?
I said it's free.
Yes, you did. We've got it on tape.
Yeah, I know. I guess you can't have a side job while working for the county.
I guess it's been suggested to start going through each one, but Mr. Chairman, what if we did, that's gonna be our biggest bulk of our work today, what if we did, or as far as we can get through it, what if we did 4 and 5, take those first, and I can make that motion. That way we can get everything, talk about all the updates that we need to,
Okay.
and follow-up questions, and then maybe start there. So I make a motion,
Well, but to me, and can maybe help us here, when we're going through each individual budget,
then do the-
to me, that's more operating under item number 5.
Okay.
And so that's why on 3, I kind of wanted to figure out if we had some ideas as far as how we wanted to proceed. And then once we have that game plan, then we'll receive any updates that would...
As we're going?
Yeah, and then we can discuss the questions and stuff specifically through item number 5.
I fully understand, I just want to get all updates today if we don't get through it all.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. So what we could do is we could jump to 4. Well, actually, hang on. Is there anything else on item number 3 discussion?
Just as far as order, is there any desire to try to maybe do the smaller request first and try to get all that stuff hammered out and make some progress?
Well, and
Or did I already mention?
yeah, and that's here on item number 3. What I was thinking we could do that, or maybe not necessarily just about the size of the budget, but there's some that may even be a little bit bigger, but they're easy. There's not a whole lot of questions about them, so maybe, you know, tackle the easier ones first and get that stuff out of the way. That way we have more time to spend on the ones that we're gonna have more questions. Does that sound good? Everybody wanna operate off of the spreadsheet that Danny has? I mean, I like that spreadsheet, whether it's, you know, whether we have something else that we're doing or not, I like that, so we can track what we're looking at.
And can you, maybe after each meeting, email it in spreadsheet form rather than in PDF form? It's hard for us to kind of play with potential suggestions unless we're gonna rebuild the whole thing.
Sure. Can we send out a spreadsheet here after the meeting, if we have a working document?
Sure.
We can send it out to
You
the
put draft,
committee.
like we do on the agendas.
Okay, if there's no more discussion on item number 3, there's really not any action. Item number 4, discussion and possible action to receive department's fiscal year 17-18 estimate of needs. We have a few updates. Did you want to go over these with us real quick?
Also, the Danny, general government, you want to talk about that?
We can, do we want to go through the updates and what they were? Is that what we want to do?
Yeah, that way we get those received.
Yeah, I happen to have that one.
I have it here in front of you, if you want.
Yeah, that's the one that you had links to, you can also.
Uh-huh.
One of the main corrections was the middle column, the adopted budget. Started going through there, just kind of checking the detail, and noticed that it didn't line up with what was approved last year, so we got with Kelly Thomas and aligned it up to what was actually approved, and then there were a couple changes that were made during the year. The DA's contract was increased, and then defined benefit, we added $400,000 for defined benefit. So this column was changed just to give us a better understanding of the differences. And then since then also, she has updated this figure here, the court clerk storage, got a definite amount on the storage cost now, so
We need to,
that number may
somebody
have
needs to go
changed.
back and look at last year's contract, because I could have sworn that it was presented as a 2-year level funding. And if that's an increase to last year's contract, we need to double check that.
On the DA contract?
No, on our court clerk storage.
I didn't know we could go into 2 years flat. I thought we could renegotiate it, the lien.
No, but if the landlord told us last year it was gonna be a level funding for 2 years, I mean, we can get out in 30 days, and so can he at any
Right,
point, so
right.
there's no, we
So
can't.
you think we're locked in by what the landlord said?
I don't know that we're locked in, but if he said it, I think we ought to say, hey,
Okay.
you told us last year. I mean, if it's gonna save us $20,000, we should at least, if that card was out there, we should at least play it. I mean, he can always say, too bad, I've changed my mind. If you want to renew the contract, this is the number.
Jamie, will you put back up to the storage? See, now my sheet that I thought was updated saying 130, instead of 146. And this is the link you printed, this is the one you sent this morning.
And is that,
Yeah, that's not right. Sorry, I'll talk.
and is that in the,
Correct one.
is that in the 4 megabyte document?
She sent 2 emails, it was the second email this morning. It was the full book.
Okay.
Sorry,
Well,
I'll have to send an update on that.
Here's what we can do on this one, because there's gonna need to be another change on this one potentially anyway. OSU Extension, we've been told that they're not a county department. Back in, I think it was October, the Board of County Commissioners approved a lease agreement and a contract, a mutual cooperation agreement for the payment of services to Oklahoma State for the extension of services. So to me, it seems like that contract, kind of like the DA's contract, would be paid out of this particular account. So at another meeting, we need a specific agenda item to discuss potential funding levels and whatnot, but I think this particular estimate of needs will potentially change because of that, so.
May I ask
Also,
one?
yeah, go ahead.
You had said that you went through the 16-17 budget and updated that. I think we had moved money from reserve over to general, oh no, it's still sitting in reserve on the watch list, never mind, for arbitrage.
Also, the salary and wages changed from 600 up to 1,200. She only had one person. We pay for the 2 retirement board members from the outside. We pay $50 a meeting, so it's 2. She only had one person in there, so we changed that to 1,200.
Are we on a page?
Page 27.
No.
But I'll probably wait. If we're gonna add OSU, there's just no point in sending it out until we get that new numbers. Unless you want it, I mean, you can send it on the page if you wanted it, something like that.
And the reason I really started looking at general government, because she had estimated a lapse of 547,000,
She was, she did have a.
so I just kind of jumped in there, kind of ran some numbers. Kind of estimating maybe about 273,000 lapse instead, so what really jumped out was the amount that we're setting aside for utilities. Electric, she's got 935,000 in there for next year. She's got 850 for this year. We're only going to spend approximately 700,000 this fiscal year, and it was pretty close to the same last year. So quite a bit of cushion there. Maybe we can trim back. Same with City of Oklahoma City utilities. Got 803. We're going to actually spend, that should be about 700,000. We're going to spend about 700,000 total. So there's potentially some more money we can spend back there. I know it's nice to have some cushion there, and it worked out because this year we had budgeted 1.2 million for Trigen and it came out to, it's going to be about 1.5, so about 300,000 over and above what we budgeted. The increase in the electric and sewer water offset that, so we were able to absorb it.
That was flood water.
Is that the chilled water that comes into the building, that Veola or Trigen or whatever?
Yeah.
So they're really, there's probably not a lot of fluctuation, is there, in sewer and water? I mean, that's probably a pretty consistent number, I would think. Utilities, gas and electric, especially electric, could fluctuate a lot. I mean, we were lucky this year, we had a pretty mild winter.
So would you rather have a little bit of cushion in there just in case the electric is over and above this year's, or would you rather just kind of watch it as we go throughout the year?
I think the 850 is cushion. I mean, that's 200, maybe not 200, oh, that's what you think they're gonna spend for this year is the 642?
Yeah, here's,
And that's 200,000 cushion, and then,
CPI is fine.
if you think they're gonna spend 650, I think that 803 could come down a little.
If you're just going strictly off CPI for the last year, overall for energy, you're around 5.4% is what the change was. Looking strictly at electricity, it was closer to 1%. But as far as national
That's weather
trends,
dependent though, too.
Well, there's two component, rate and,
yeah,
Tuesday.
yeah. I think you did get a bump in rate.
Yeah.
yeah, OG&E's gonna bump it a little bit.
And I'm not sure if the Corporation Commission finished their hearing with OG&E yet on the suspected rate increase.
And this is for the JON, or two buildings here.
I think 10% is a little on the high side, but does it give you a little bit of cushion? Maybe.
Well, but it's not 10%, it's 50%.
Yeah, if you're doing the 10%, you
Fixed
would
actual
do,
usage of the 10.
yeah, you would do the 10% off the 642 and not the 10% off the 850.
Actually, that should be 700,000, pretty close.
Okay, so then
That's 11
770.
months worth.
Yeah.
So then the 10%.
But you said it's been flat the last 3 years, Danny, pretty much.
I looked back to last year, I looked
Okay.
3 years back.
So they're projecting 642.
So that's what they've spent so far.
That's what we're estimating we'll spend this year, but there should be one more month.
Okay.
There should be one more month.
Right.
That's 11 months worth.
So it really should be
700.
700. So you put it at 770, or you just leave it static as far as the line item budget and leave it at 850.
Well, here's the thing though, on this particular agenda item, we can receive this estimate of needs or not receive it. I mean,
Okay, so for working purposes, let's receive it and then jump down to 5 or whatever number it is, so we can discuss it. We've received the estimate of needs.
There's a motion and a second to receive the general government, general fund estimate of needs. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
We have a motion to move to item 5.
Well, let's go ahead and receive all of these and then we can just go.
Okay, all I can tell you,
We were making some progress there.
Well, I mean, if you guys want to, I mean, I don't think these others are really that, okay, we'll do that. we'll do that, we'll come back to it. All right. Is there a motion to jump to item number 5, discussion and possible action regarding follow-up questions related to 17-18 estimate of needs?
For the purposes of discussing the general.
General fund.
Government, item, so moved.
Okay, there's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Okay.
If you're gonna base your increase off anything, base it off what the actuals are gonna be, not what they initially budgeted for this year. Now granted, we did have a very mild summer last summer,
Right.
and that was kind of abnormal.
I move for the purpose of our working document that we plug in $700,000 for their, no, I'm sorry, $800,000 for line 54023 for general government. Do we have to have a motion each time we
No,
change?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, I would say the same for the next line then too. If you've got 651, and that, are you saying, Danny, that's 11 months?
Kelly, as we go through these, can you keep a list of questions that we might have for the departments on particular items? For instance, on this one, Danny's down on the sewer and water. I'm really interested, I'm sorry, on the Veolia, you know, we had a $273,000 or $291,000 over budget. I want to know how much of that is related to the flood and how much of that is, you know, increase in rates and whatnot. Because if none of that is really associated to the flood, then we got to kind of watch where we're funding, because yes, we overfunded those other two accounts, but it was probably a good thing because that savings that we saved on them paid for that.
What month was that flood?
December.
We just to kind of do it without motion. No motion died for the lack of a second.
Because this year you're estimating it's gonna be even more than what you're proposing for next, what they're proposing for next fiscal year.
This one,
Slightly,
Yeah,
and that may
for Veolia.
account for that
Sorry,
17.
I guess I jumped ahead on my fault.
yeah, and that's Veolia's estimate. This amount here. Of course, so was this.
Did they estimate $1.5 million last year?
Oh, very good.
May 258.
That was their number last year. Okay.
So they boo-booed.
Can we negotiate that as a cap in the contract?
Split it in the middle.
The 7,
That's 700.
that's level,
cutting it pretty
that's kind of
close.
level funding, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking 800, like we did the line
Yeah.
above it.
So again, you're just looking at 8 or 11 months on your estimate on the right side. Is everything 11 months?
No, it's just these two items.
Okay.
And for now, I think until you have further information on Veolia,
So when's that?
probably leave it like it is.
You had a real estimate?
Estimate for this year.
Oh. Oh, okay.
But Veolia underestimated the usage for this current year.
Not usage, I believe it's tied to the gas prices.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about usage.
Right, but yeah, it was whatever it takes them to make the product.
Right. Then we got retirement fees, we had 400,000 this year, that's Invest Trust. Of course, we don't know where that's at as far as switching administrators, so, but they had lowered it to 300,000 based on the bids that we had received, lower cost, so.
So we don't know that that's a July 1 launch yet.
Well, we can pretty much tell now that's not gonna happen July 1. It's just the timing of it. So,
I would think you would have to keep that the same.
I would too. And we have cap is $100,000 in general government. We've had it since we contracted with Kronos. Which, at the time, correct me if I'm wrong, someone else that knows better than I do, but in order to get the Kronos contract approved, we had to set aside $100,000 as a contingency on that contract.
That was that whole conversation with, Captain Honeycutt, and
Captain, we don't have a Captain Honeycutt.
Mr. Honeycutt, Lawyer Honeycutt.
Esquire.
Esquire Honeycutt, and Sandy, I believe, had to satisfy, I don't remember exactly what it was, we had to set aside $100,000.
But obviously, it just sits there, we never use it. Don't know if it's necessary anymore or not, but
I say it's not.
Well, let's put that on our questions on this one, if that's okay.
I would say the $400,000 for defined benefit plan, I don't see that changing anytime soon. Personally, I would think that should be in there every year, it's just a budget item, instead of waiting.
Sitting for reserve.
Yeah.
We put 400 in there this year, is that right?
We did last couple of years.
Is there an estimate of the total on that
That's not the total,
to make it?
they try to put in about 1.2 million a year, 800,000 of that comes from the forfeitures, in the defined contribution plan, and the rest comes from general fund. Don't see that changing anytime soon. And we need to maintain that funding level at least 1.2 million every year. In other words, you know what's coming, so why not claim this budget for it up front, take that off the table?
I agree, I think you should put it in there.
I'm fine with that, but let's keep in mind that we've basically moved that from reserve to budget. And that should have an impact on what we need to put back in reserve.
You're saying make the reserve lighter because we did that?
Potentially you could,
Okay, that's what I thought you were saying.
because you've accounted for something that you have been funding out of the reserve.
Maybe we can transfer that to defined benefit after the cash flow problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Whose copier lease is being paid out of here? Is Kelly Thomas is no longer, or wait.
What's that?
Whose copier lease is paid out of here?
They haven't paid anything out of it, they're not estimating we're gonna pay anything out of it this year.
Well, that
And
can
capital,
go away
for that
then.
matter.
I'm gonna rephrase the $400,000 request. It should really be a transfer. If we're gonna work it into the budget, it should be a transfer, just like if transferred in court benefits.
Oh, yeah, we have to.
The reason it's in here is because it didn't happen until after September,
Okay.
so that was the only way we could get it in. We had to actually cut a check out of general government,
Okay.
so it's cleaner if it's just, but if we'll just remember that as part of the transfer.
Okay.
And your difference didn't come up? Oh.
So then where are we gonna put that 400,000?
Show up like a transfer, like,
Yeah, it would be,
Should be,
other transfers. Internal service, with like employee benefits.
Okay.
yeah, it'll be here.
Okay.
It's another line item.
Yeah, I know we had asked Kelly Thomas when she presented her estimate of needs, since her salary and benefits all went over to HR and health and safety's budget, that the M&O and the capital and all of that should probably go with it. And I thought she had updated that.
She forgot the capital part of it. Let me make sure, maybe I just didn't.
Well,
No, she forgot.
That would have been in the commissioners.
Oh, am I looking at the
Yeah,
wrong
that's true.
one?
Yeah.
But still,
Yeah.
if
So
we're not paying any,
We need to find out about this.
what that capital outlay and what that copier expense is used for. Kelly, can you write that down as a question as well?
And Danny, are you saving all of these documents you're editing somewhere?
I will. This is the only one that I've got spreadsheet access to. Preston or PDF.
Just thinking if we were able to track the changes on some of these Excel documents, it would let us see those changes in the future when we look back at it.
Well, here's what I think, when we're going through these line by line, we can have a motion to accept these changes, and if that motion passes, then we can have Danny just save this estimate of needs as our working estimate of needs, or whatever for that particular account, and then we've got access to that. We can always come back in if people want to make other changes, revisit, then we can do that throughout the process.
Do we have an idea on what the OSHA extension is, that contract?
I know what her request is, but
What's the request? Do you know?
I've talked a little bit with Donna, she thinks it might be in the next 2 weeks possibly.
say again?
I've talked with Donna about the contract, they're drafting it now. The district attorney's office is going to have to look at it, but we can get the cost of it and just see.
If you know what figure, let's plug it in, get it going.
My opinion on that is just like it was last year. That's one of those that we've been told we have to fund it based upon the availability of the budget. So I think determining hard and fast exactly what that dollar amount is going to be a little difficult until we get through all of them. Now, we do need a placeholder and we need something on there, but I think deciding on a number, I think.
No, I was just saying, if she's got a request, if there's a figure that she requested, it'd be nice to have it at word.
I can get that for you right now.
At this pace, we'll be done today.
With this one.
The general government, yeah.
$545,522. And FYI, our smoke.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Does that car's
Oh, I'm sure your car's.
No, I was told the smoke goes up, so.
Oh.
It was going up.
And then last year's, did you put that in there?
Well, last year's was on there.
I know, I didn't know, did you already put
You want
OSU?
me to add a line item for OSU?
I mean, I think that's where it needs to be.
Yeah, to make compare, 542, 522.
545.
545.
545, 522, yes. And last year, it was 498, 556.
556?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Now, of course, it wasn't out of this account. so-
Right.
True. Oh, yeah.
Can you maybe on the cell next to difference, where that's just blank, maybe put last year's contract there so we know what that amount was?
498, 556.
And the actual, the way it was done in the budget last year, there was individual line items, and then there was also the contract, which the contract is what we're looking at doing this year. The contract was 457, 623 is what the contract was. And then everything else was like building and grounds and janitorial and all of that, which they'll be responsible for now according to the lease agreement.
Did her 17, 18 estimate needs also take ground maintenance in consideration too, even though it's in her lease?
Yeah, no, she put it in here. Yeah, that's part of the 498. So I'm saying if we just looked at the actual contract piece from the year before, it's 457, 623. All right, is there any more discussion on the general government? All right, does anybody have any objections to the changes that were made to that worksheet?
So we've received their estimate of needs.
Correct.
And what we're gonna receive now is what we've done with their estimate of needs. The document we received remains unchanged, right?
Well, we'll get back another one once this is official, and
Yeah, so do we need a motion on?
And these are just recommended changes, you're not
Right.
saying,
Right.
by golly, you're gonna go back and change your estimate of needs based on what we said.
Right, that's what I'm saying, you can't really, we can't change their estimate. of
Right.
needs.
So that's where I
Right.
think,
This is a tracking document for us moving forward.
Right.
so if you can just track these changes, and then we can go back and we can always compare what they submitted versus what our changes that we're making.
because it sounds like there's probably going to be another change to it anyway, once we find out what the real contract amount is, right?
What was the building record? I'll just write it in.
143.
143? Or was it 146?
Sorry.
It's yours.
I'm sorry, what?
146.
146.
She was asking.
That's not a change.
Would you like for me to go just print you off a copy of that one page right now? Would that be helpful for everyone, or you want me to?
Which one?
I might be the only one that had it off the list from today.
No, I think you're not the only one.
I do too.
Apologize. You want me to go get you a page with that?
How much work you want to
Well, I know,
already noted
but
it.
for those that are
I'm hoping
taking.
that's the only change I didn't go down.
Oh, no,
Is that the
there's
only thing?
probably more than that. I mean, the total's the same on the 5579, obviously, but I think the way he split it out is different, right? Danny?
Okay, now as far as that change, the 146 and making sure that everything's in the right lines, are you gonna, is that gonna be updated in an email that we get for?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, are there any other questions related to this one? If not, we can move on to another budget.
What was your next one?
We've got,
Oh, you want me to do that again?
yeah,
Work through those.
I kind of wish you could do all these at once, so that there's not so many motions on one.
Yeah, I think let's do them all at once now, that we didn't jump to get in the middle.
okay.
I agree.
Is there a motion to move back to item number 3? I'm sorry, item number 4?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so this one's just, I think, did you just?
All we changed was this page. None of the actual budget documents changed. We just updated the
Warrants issued and reserved
estimated,
funds.
yeah, correct.
Okay, this is for the sheriff's
General fund, 500. Mhm.
Did you update your PowerPoint, Harold?
I didn't need to. PowerPoint dealt with the estimate needs portion of the estimate needs document, the budget worksheet. This was not part of the budget worksheet.
Let's make sure, is this right?
What's up, so?
Sheriff.
Well, I wouldn't count on anything.
That's why I said like, hope so.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
Okay,
What was changed?
so that one's right.
We-
The reserves
We just
and the warrant
updated
issues, I think.
the report of prior expenditures and estimate needs.
It wasn't on there yet.
It was blank when we sent
So
it
now
in.
it's on there.
Now it's filled in. Nothing else changed, except for you put,
Uh-oh.
and we didn't do that, we got to send it over as blank.
What?
Yeah, you still got the wrong name on there. I don't recall filling that part out.
Old habits are hard to break.
And maybe we just didn't catch it, we sent it over.
I don't know. The next one's juvenile.
Well, tell me the numbers, so there should be numbers in there? The reserves and the warrants issued?
Yeah, do you not have it?
No, there's, I've got it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's it.
22
They're correct, we
million
just,
on the
we just crossed,
total.
yeah.
The next one, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Is juvenile, and I believe this is based on everything that you all talked about with her the other day, and I sent you a copy of the changes, a bunch of red. Everybody read that one. So,
There were changes to the estimate of needs though, correct?
yes,
And those have been, you've updated all of that?
yes.
Okay.
And it was on the
But
link
this is one.
that we got today.
Right after your CC. Christie, what did you have on the old one first? Or no, you printed that off, and never mind, so this is right. I
Yeah.
don't remember what the change was.
I
up or
used the
down.
link.
I think it went down. She took the, I know she took the 100,000 off the capital
For the phone?
for the funds, and that might have been the majority of it. I didn't read the red writing.
It did go down, it was 8,460,000.
It's at 8,360,000, 868,80.
Okay. Did I do IT yet? Come on in.
No.
No.
Okay. So this is the one I'm not really sure. I know that he and Dane went through this and really looked at the line items based on really what they should have been. We added how many, was it one more, Danny, code?
Yes.
Was it hardware annual renewal? I think it was. So they kind of moved around their requests in M&O. It's still going to be kind of wonky as far as the differences based on the fact that they're trying to realign these account numbers to where they can really get a better idea of how much they're spending on each one of these line items as they really are and start using the correct codes. Ultimately, their budget went down, I believe, $98,000.
What is your bottom line for their budget?
3458, 85335.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I know about that.
All right, is there a motion to receive the updated estimate of needs that Kelly just went over?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we should have everything updated now. All right. Back to item number 5, discussion of possible action regarding follow-up questions related to any 17-18 estimate of needs. What budget would you guys like to move on to now?
Want to stay in line with the table
120 is an easy
contents?
one.
Or are you going to go for the smallest workup, like we talked about? Dave Ramsey approach.
120 is pretty cut and dry, so.
Let's do that, 21.
31? Is it, oh,
Page
maybe,
21.
yeah, that's right, I redid it.
Which page?
What do you?
120.
Smallest.
No, just next to
That was
mine.
some, I don't got Dave on you.
Indirectly.
How do you feel about that, Mr. Chairman?
Dave Ramsey, is that what you meant?
Yes.
Loved it.
Oh, yeah.
It's all the makeover stuff.
Yeah.
Total money, Oprah.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend we start at the top and work our way down, then we can seem to determine how we want to proceed.
I thought that's what we
We're doing.
We're already on the way. I don't know what you guys are doing down there.
I was thinking the snarky comment.
It's been a long day already, I apologize.
All right. There's not much here, so.
I don't think there's anything you can change on that.
Just the 3 commissioners,
This is
no
the salary.
raises. A little bit of M&O, capital. There's really nothing we can do to this one, unless you want to add to it.
Is there any changes anybody wants to discuss on this one? If not, let's move on.
I did get that changed, didn't I? This one, where you added, change, or did you change it to 3%? You didn't. Guess it doesn't matter, you've already taken it out.
No, we haven't taken it out.
Not officially, but.
For
it's
illustrative purposes, we put it on the screen.
Yeah.
I've been backhand wrench. Or be backhand wrench too. think you probably want, one way or the other, you either want to take all the 3% out, or you want to put them all in. Either way, and I think it makes no difference, but they all ought to, for comparative purposes, they all ought to be based on the same thing.
Even if the department request a raise.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have a department whose department head was just real stubborn and said, I'm not gonna do that, I don't know, I mean, I think we've got a responsibility to take care of the county employees. We only know of one that's really been stubborn, right? I just said, BET, you're not the boss of me, I ain't doing that.
I think we'd have to rely on the judgment of that particular person as far as raises are concerned, instead of a countywide deal.
Even if you express an interest, you just didn't want to put it on the assessment of needs.
I like what Danny did as far as backing them out of everybody that's asked, because we can add it back in, but it's a dollar amount that we can look at and see what the raises are, and it's the same thing with the new positions. It's on this document that we're gonna be looking at a lot, it's right there, and it's gonna be really easy for us to see what that number is, and we're not gonna have to be going back to the estimate of needs and looking at that.
But if you only backed out the ones who have it in their request, like the assessor doesn't have it in their request, then that number is not reflective of what it would be if we put the 3% back in.
I'll show you the assessor does that.
Yeah, the assessor does that. Okay,
They have 4%.
Oh, okay.
okay, we didn't put it in ours, okay, so use ours as an example. Right here, when you back out the 3%,
There's nothing.
there won't be anything on that particular line. Now, if we decided throughout this process that we wanted to make a recommendation for a 3% across the board pay raise, if that was the recommendation, then you would just put a 3% for everybody,
Okay.
even if you didn't ask. So I think that we could address that
All right.
later. But this just kind of gets it to where it's a level field so we can see what the actual budget requests are, what they consist of.
Yeah, and when I said that earlier, I forgot you didn't put yours in, I was talking about facilities.
So we want to put the new positions on there. Is that what you were getting?
Yeah.
That number?
Yeah, we certainly can. So, just looking at theirs, I didn't have a note whether this was a new position or.
Mine said
Thank you.
new. I wrote down new.
Okay.
How do you address positions that have been eliminated?
Oh, yeah, that's right. They don't have to have them until.
The way we've addressed it last year, and to my knowledge, the way we're looking at addressing it going forward, is if you didn't have a position budgeted this fiscal year, then it's it'll be a new position if you're asking for it.
I'm going the other way. If you were downsizing in your department,
Okay.
how does that get reflected in this?
I mean, it'll be reflected in your overall budget.
Comparing last year to this year, or your current year to the proposed, if you're downsizing, you're showing less people, then you should be saving money on the salary side.
This document would not say, oh, District 3 is downsizing one employee. It wouldn't say that, if that's what you're asking. It's not, because if we started doing that, then we would be tracking every single item, and it'd be really difficult to kind of look at this on a macro level. I think this is kind of more of a macro sheet, and if we want to get into the micro, then we'll look at the individual estimate of needs for each department. But if you want to add another column, that's,
If they're downsizing, hopefully they didn't put that person on their estimate of needs unless they've done it after they were turned in, and you just need to be aware of it. I mean, clearly we don't want to fund somebody that's not there.
is that what you were getting at? Okay, I'm sorry, I was interpreting it something else. Thank you for interpreting it for me.
Okay, Danny.
I misunderstood. I apologize.
I'll speak to her and let her.
That would be good.
We've done that way.
I'll speak to you and let him speak.
But as a board, if we're aware of somebody that, you know,
Yeah.
advertising and, I mean, it's up to us to catch it.
Well, okay, but, and here's what we could do. We've got a, or at least we had a column for, for adjustments up and down, that we could do that. You could also, put something like that if we were eliminating 2 positions after we ran our numbers for the end of February, and we weren't gonna have those positions anymore. I mean, I guess we could also utilize that position, previously paid from other, well, no, because that would be an add and not a subtract.
Well, hopefully they didn't put them in, but if we're aware of someone, we obviously need to.
I think I think we can tackle that when we're talking about the overall estimate of needs for that particular department.
Okay.
If I might, Kelly Thomas just confirmed that $10,000 in general government is something that was just always there, so she just kept putting it there.
The capital and the,
So we probably need to take that off.
goodness, making progress.
It's just $10,000, but, hey,
I see, that's what this process is about. I mean, if it's something that's just always been there, I don't.
Danny, on the new positions, the fringe does not include the medical, at $28,196.
It does.
yeah.
Yep.
It does?
I always make sure it's included when I do my checking.
Are you calling vacant new, a new vacant, because that's a vacant.
We have talked,
The 73 is for an information supervisor once we go live with our system, and it's a must.
but
Well-
did you say June
Kind of what we had
7th?
defined was
June 15.
a
Oh,
position
that's
that
right,
was
that will be this year.
funded last year would be a new position. If it was funded last year, not filled, it would be a vacant position.
Irregardless of the necessity of the employee, I mean, that'll be more in the discussion, do we need this new employee? This is just more of a tracking, so we can just kind of look at it and see what we're dealing with.
I feel like Butch Freeman, you know, I'd like to have my money so I can spend it where I need it, and I need that person, so just let you know.
Do what?
That person's gonna be very needed when we come online with our new software,
Okay.
so it's not something we give away or negotiate out, so deliver a half year or 3/4 of a year, whenever it goes online, that's the person that's gonna manage all of the software. So it's a needed, necessary person.
That person was not funded this fiscal year.
It was funded last year, but it wasn't filled, the way I understand it.
Because we didn't go live.
Because we didn't go live with our software. It's been delayed.
But it's not a person you have now that's involved in the process as you're going live.
He is double dutying currently,
Okay.
and is managing that along with his other duties, and then when that goes live, that's gonna consume all of his time, and we're going to have to elevate someone else to take his position.
I'm
That,
following.
and that's what I had remembered, you got one guy doing 2 jobs, and then when you go live, you're gonna need a second
And I
person
don't
to
consider
do.
it new. New duties.
Well, you got one person
Yeah,
doing
doing it.
the
Right.
stuff, and now you're gonna need 2, so. I mean,
Right,
Yeah.
because when we go live,
I
that
gotcha.
one person has got to manage the
All
whole
that.
camera. We have to replace that position.
I got you. So then,
May 21 years old. Oh, yeah. You're getting as confused as I am.
I did have a question, I'm sorry if I asked this last time and it was answered, and I just forgot, but in your general fund request, you're showing 28 employees with health and dental benefits, and you've got a total of 29 employees.
We
You have,
one that is.
okay, so you have high utilization of, okay, that's great.
We want to just go through each one and try to identify the new positions and pack them out, or are we going to dig into each department a little more in detail?
I mean, it's,
Pleasure of the board.
Because you're saying this shouldn't be there because it's really not a new position.
Well,
It's gonna be,
Who funded it is not a new position.
Right, it was funded, but it hasn't, the person hasn't assumed all of the duties yet. We hope that'll happen next summer.
but the funding that you got for that person, is part of that funding paying that person that's doing the double?
They've had an increase because of their responsibilities, but
Yeah.
when they change over full-time, then they will take over and have that new salary, and then we'll be elevating someone else in the department, and we'll have another vacancy for our records department. Sometimes square pegs don't fit in round holes, so as we transition all this stuff.
So are we going through item by item, trying to find the new positions and get a total figure on that so that we can at least identify the new positions this year?
I mean, I think we can do that as we're going through each budget, instead of going back and forth.
But I think it'd be also nice to know what, we didn't have any of the raises of the new positions in there, what the overall bottom line is as far as the $10 million gap too.
I mean, I kind of think I'm following what Chairman's saying. I mean, I know we can't, but if we could just touch each paper one time, as far as taking out any requested new positions and salaries, that
Your
would,
email at 8:52 this morning.
I think, make it a little bit more expeditious. I mean, this is really going to be a hard nut to crack when you get right down to it, but we're going to have some kind of rhyme and reason, I guess you could say.
And as far as that goes, if we don't get through all of, which we won't get through all of them today, Danny could send it to me and I could do it or whatever. You don't have to be in here to be able to go through and fill in that column as far as the new employees. It just takes one of us, with, 10 or 15 minutes to go through and just pull the number and throw it in there.
And do I remember a kind of a size document in a lot of years where we had things that, I mean, it's so early in the budget process, let's not roll up our sleeves and tackle those things right now. Let's kind of put those in the to be.
We had a spreadsheet of what additional things we were gonna fund and which things we were gonna wait, put it as far as DEC watch list items, or the document presented to the budget board, I believe they said items that weren't funded, that were requested were these, and they had X dollar amount.
Right.
yeah, there was, in his first column, it's to be considered. Didn't you have that? Follow-up. And that's where we had tracked them last year. Like, when we put it in there and put it in.
A little more, yeah.
Yeah, and I think what we did last year was we looked at, and of course we had the revenues then, but we went line by line and kind of figured out what everybody really absolutely bare bones had to have. And then there were things in the budget that, those are really legitimate asks, can we do it? We don't know, and we put that on that working document and just listed everything down there. And then once we got through all of the, you know, the bare bones, then we knew how much money we had left. And then we would go to that document and say, okay, we've got $2 million left. Here's our list of stuff. What can we fund? What should we, you know, wait on? But yeah, I think we go through the estimate of needs and figure out what questions we have, what ones we think we should make changes to. And then one of us, it doesn't matter who, can go through and fill in the new employee column. I just don't think we need to use the whole board's time to do that when that's really only a one-person job. All right, we're in the assessors, so in the general fund estimate of needs, is there any more discussion about this particular request?
I didn't have anything more than what was presented when they did it.
Just a thing that we need to remember is about the recent visual inspection where that's always done with a 10% cost to the county. And I guess if you wanted to mix all of our raises in that, you're reducing the cost from general fund dollars by using the funds from visual inspection to be able to support those increases. So when you're talking about the total dollars that are raises for the assessors, both funds, the one for the regular budget is being supplemented by the raises that are paid for through the visual inspection. When you put all those employees together, because we get those special revenues are covered on visual inspection employees.
And that's why I did not plug in the salary increases.
You're just doing general, right?
Well, for the
Oh,
revale, just
gotcha.
because
We usually,
we usually fund it at the request, which is what we did last year.
Yep.
yeah.
At this point, we're gonna get 90% of that back. Yes, we're still getting 10% of it. $90,000 raises, county would assume 9,000 of that. What would happen what do you do when your reval gets the raise, but your other budget doesn't?
Exactly.
What happens?
We have to move people around to make it happen.
Everybody gets the raise?
Merit based.
So you can offset that with your special revenue fund if it wasn't a general fund?
Well,
No.
in our revale.
I'm just asking, just trying to understand how you're explaining this.
The statutory requirements are we can only use revaluation for those that are involved in the actual valuation of property. The office, the administrative office, and many of the other personnel that are not involved with valuation of property are not supposed to be paid for by that account. It's restricted.
And historically, we've had to move people over to revale in order to give raises. Our fear is, like we talked before, the Tulsa County deal that came out, saying that came in and made them do 50-50 regular revale. And at some point,
50 of the whole office?
50/50 of reval compared to the digital inspection. And general fund dollars.
You can't move every employee back and forth. There's only certain employees that you can pay a portion of the administrative.
Depending on the year,
Yeah.
depending on the time of year.
Right.
It is depending on what they're doing that particular time of year.
Yeah.
That letter just to Tulsa County?
It's a court case. Yeah, they lost. Visual inspection, they did not like, the school districts did not like spending money on the general operations.
They made theirs, they made
I can't blame them.
50-50, and currently we have 29 on regular and
46.
yeah, if we had to go 50-50, it would hurt.
Wow.
Touchdown. Here's the
Queen.
Anything else on the assessors?
So even with backing out the raises and the new position, still 64,000 over and above here.
That's because I moved someone from revale back to regular like we talked about last year.
Which we talked about before, the arbitrary time period that we use for a reference point every year. For us, that's complicated because we're moving people back and forth depending on the time of year to allocate those funds.
All right, any more discussion on the assessors? All right, if not, let's move along.
I've made a note to check with Janice on the health. I think we were still, we've got 9 people in general, and she's got them all as taking coverage, but I'll double check that.
And no raises.
No raises. From general, correct.
Okay, Christie, if you could refresh my memory, no raises, no new employees, but the salary request is $88,000 more than the
That's
prior
moving,
year.
yeah, that's moving people back
Okay.
to general.
So should we,
I don't know how you want to view that. They weren't budgeted.
well, we could do that in the position previously paid, right? And put that 88,000
Mhm.
in that column to track that.
Is it the total amount of the 8840 or?
His salary was 88,799.56,
Yeah.
and then you would have the associated benefits. What was that?
Is that right?
Any other discussion on the treasurers? All right. No, let's move on. The court clerk next.
Five new positions, is that right?
I'm trying to follow you here. 5 new oh, it's the 2, okay, yeah, I got you. 2 together, 248, 355, that's what I got.
And then you received an increase by September for 10 new positions. We need to look at annualizing that for this year.
hopefully they did that in their estimated needs already.
Yeah, but that explains
Okay.
part of the.
Why it's
part
a
of
12
the-
increase,
right.
yeah.
Uh,
I wonder if that's increase.
I had it.
It should, the math should work out where.
It was 354,585 rather than the 496,710, so it's 142,125. It was 10. 142, 125. And I mean, I'm not gonna dwell on this and get in a long, drawn-out conversation. I mean, I will if you guys want to. I just think it's kind of early in the cycle for that. My argument will be that if we're doing 3% across the board raises, that's something separate from pay equity. I mean, that just basically would cut into any pay equity that we do if that's not a separate discussion. And so, I mean, we're taking them all out at this point, which is fine. But the pay equity is not the same as a.
Well, if you do 3% across the board, you still have the same pay equity gap.
Have what?
Your pay equity.
Right.
Good job, interpreter. We're all getting
I'm learning from Dan Cody.
It didn't make so much sense in my brain when it was going to my mouth, but you said it way better.
I think sometimes it just takes that delicate touch.
That's the first time I saw this.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm gonna move my.
I regret that every day.
All right, was there any other questions about the court clerks? I did have one on the furniture. You guys didn't have anything last year, and 25,000 this year. What's that for?
It's just, we haven't updated anything in our office in years, and it's a dump up there. So I'd like to start trying to get some things that look like they were purchased in this century.
So you're against antiques, is it?
It's the middle. I love antiques. It's the stuff that was bought like 30 or 40 years ago.
Mid-century. You're against mid-century.
Late 21st century. Late 20th century.
Oh, no.
And then the cell phone stipend, you guys did not have that last year, but.
No, and I haven't got to sit down with Amy real close. We started kind of mid-year doing some cell phone stipends. All of that M&O, it's strange because she didn't break it out as far as where we had that money last year. She only kind of broke it out for this year. And so her mom fell and broke her wrist this weekend.
Oh, poor Amy. After her
Well, you
dad.
remember last year, it was the day after my sister's funeral when I fell and broke mine. So I think there's just that
Something,
stress.
you guys are just trying to get out of the budget.
Right. Maybe.
Whoever can get something first.
No, so we haven't, she was playing catch up a little bit as she was here last week, but I think that it would be good to break that out and how she had it last year.
Well, yeah, because it's an increase of about $12,500 in M&O, just, you know, so if we had a breakout, then we could kind of figure out what the.
Right.
That difference is. That's contributed to.
Subscriptions. Shirts. People ought to wear shirts to work, yes.
Well, she bought shirts last year. She just, like I said, she didn't.
Oh, we don't have it.
She didn't break out that middle
No, I
column.
gotcha.
She broke it out for the new year, so I just wish she'd have done either, not broke it out on the new year or broke it out on both years, but not. my fault, I didn't catch that when I got submitted. But if you want to write that down, Kelly, a better breakdown of M&O expenses for the current fiscal year. We'll make sure
Maybe it's not 12.
leave that on the,
Well, but their budget,
Well, the
bottom line
would
should
be-
be it would be the same, so,
Right.
so yeah, there's still a difference, but.
Wondering if that transponders is a typo. 1590 and 159.
Yeah, generally, you don't buy too many transponders.
yeah, but you gotta remember, we
Or is it the new
we
employees?
added the 10 employees, and so she would have
Times 10,
budgeted for some there.
Listen.
Send myself an email.
Any other discussion on this one? Okay.
County clerk?
Mhm.
All good?
Go back. Looks like you've already said it. So you should know.
Were there new positions?
Yeah.
No,
Did we,
Previously.
just moving from different, special revenue funds.
are there some new positions for the general fund?
Well, that's why we added that
Yeah.
column.
Previously paid for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's kind of,
Just, I hadn't looked at it, where were you, did you have a number of employees that you felt like you were funded at last year? Where were you in February? And where does this budget project you being for government employees? Does that make sense? Kind of, just a bottom line.
That's gonna be my notes. I can go get that.
Or you can just write it down and come back to it.
All right.
You get hung up on it right now. And so then there was 383 for Tyler Munis, whether it comes to your budget or moves over.
No,
Is it
249
249,
and 338.
Well, you were adding another one, but that, you guys are currently paying for the majority of that out of your special revenue accounts, correct?
That's correct.
And what about the electric digital? I know you didn't have a line item for that,
That's a
but,
brand new expense.
okay. And that's also, that's one that is allowable to be paid out of one of the special revenues, correct? I think we had, okay. And is that that's the one that you guys just did the other day, right? A couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
I had, in my notes, and maybe I wrote this down wrong, I had 134 for Electra Digital, But then I had a later note that said it'd take 160 to 170 to operate and maintain that on a repetitive basis. Sounds like I missed something in there. Sounds like I didn't take good notes.
I think where that number came from.
It was when Hooten was speaking, and I asked, how much does your project cost? And he had said 120 to 160 annually. But that it wasn't sure, because depended on the data in the cloud and how much.
Right. Yeah, that's just an estimate at this point, but we got the 134, so.
And then there was 107 for the new software for the
Software, yeah.
minute software.
We're still, that's an estimate also. Obviously, different companies and see what's out there.
Would that be records preservation as well?
Could it be? Is that what you're asking? That's debatable whether records preservation can be used for that or not.
Well, we're recording the vote, and we're preserving the recording of the vote. Sounds like recording preservation to me.
Numbers that jump out, we're talking about the first one at the top. That one. Is the 222% increase in maintenance operations?
Yeah, that's what we're looking at.
Yeah. That's the Electro Digital, the new
Projects,
software.
I guess I didn't understand when you're asking to move Tyler Muniz and these people over so you can do the project out of special revenue, why it's on your general fund request as well.
Just because we don't know at this point whether we're gonna get the funding or not.
And then the money, that's on, it would somehow generate dollars?
It is just by more utilization. Well, you heard his speech, but, you know, getting some advertising out there, getting more people to use it, generating more fees for actual certified copies.
Are we allowed to advertise?
Don't.
And that income would be, I think you said general fund income, right? It wouldn't go to records preservation or?
No, the only thing that goes to records preservation is a $5 fee for every document that's filed. It's straight $5 fee. Goes to records preservation. Any copy fees or anything like that goes into the general fund.
Any other questions?
Let me ask you a question about, I know it's not, we're talking general fund, but on special rev, the changes that you've made so far this year, since January, has that not freed up enough money to handle the Electro Digital in the special revenue?
Changes that we've made as far as
People, salaries,
not for this fiscal year, it has not. We've got annual leave over 40,000 we're having to pay out by the end of the year. A lot of unemployment claims that we're having to pay out, so.
what about going forward?
Was that part of the $100,000 savings projection for this fiscal year? I mean, was all that part taken into account? Because that was kind of the figure that was thrown out, we're saving $100,000 by this restructuring,
And
by going from.
correct, that's for next year.
Oh, the 100,000 is for next year, it wasn't for the remainder of this year.
Okay. Back to your question, does it free up money next year, going into next year to do some of these projects? Just have to really update our numbers and kind of do a projection for next year, kind of based on the changes that have been made.
But the Electra Digital for this year is being paid out of a special revenue account, right, and not
Yeah.
general fund?
Correct.
Previously, you talked about Tyler Munis going to MIS. Is that happening?
Well, that,
Depends on what you
It
give it.
depends. We would prefer the whole contract be paid out of MIS's budget, but if it's not, we're asking for our half out of general fund.
It would be easier if they paid all the invoices. There's no point really in it being split between two departments.
Well,
Then you guys still pay the invoices on it. You all paperwork, you don't pay the bills.
Pardon?
They prepare the bills for you to pay, right?
Yeah.
So last year, there was no money in the budget for that, but there was a half deal in there last
It
year.
was not.
because it was paid for out of special revenue.
Right.
Oh, okay.
it said it was like a third. In general fund take some,
We actually paid one payment out of general fund.
or are they monthly or semi-annual, are they
Yeah,
monthly?
they come monthly.
And you...
And we couldn't even begin to pay it until the second half. There was no way we could even go another. So Rob, because he got it in his general fund, it worked out better.
Any more discussion? Okay. We got excise and equalization board.
Level funding,
Health
right?
coverage, no benefits,
No change.
no change.
County audit.
Easy.
Same thing, right? I mean, it's got-
Statutory and,
Right.
yeah, one thing that we have to find mention.
I'm somewhat confused, on the next two. For some reason, I guess I always knew we had a DA contract. I didn't know about DA state and DA county. I've been here for
We get all the state.
8 years, I should have,
All the state comes back as a reimbursement.
okay, so the DA state, that comes back to general fund. And,
There's $150,000 budgeted in general fund revenue for that.
and then the DA county, travel, capital. I mean, I just didn't know if it would make more sense if it was in the DA contract or in one, everything in one place, or if there was a reason it was separated out.
Since I've been here that I can recall, we always had an estimate needs for DA County, and then they would follow up with the contract.
Well, the contract's a lot more than 72,398, though.
Yeah. We are required by statute to fund DA's office for travel expenses related to defense of the county and M&O costs for
Computers,
drugs
probably,
and
is that probably
computers
what that
and
is?
stuff like that.
Yeah, that's not in the MIS budget. Computers.
Well, they haven't asked for
They
computers.
haven't
Yeah, they didn't
That's
ask
just
for
copiers.
computers, no.
Oh, okay.
I think computers is in the MIS budget, but
Guess I could look at that.
typically
It has the
travel.
details instead of just the summary.
The majority of that publication. Aaron, do you know what that publication is?
I've brought no documents with me, so I don't know.
It's not a big deal, I just did it mostly for my
It does seem
edification.
like a lot to have all these little budgets, but.
All right, anything else?
What they publish.
Do you want me to put that on my notes?
Yeah.
All right, public defender. Yes. Is there a motion to, how long do we need, 5-minute break, 10 minutes?
What would we set aside, 1 to 4, or is it kind of-
I think I've got the room for 1 to 5. We're gonna work till very last
I will
minute.
have to, no, I have to leave
Yeah.
before 4, I have to give them a minute for 30.
Yeah, is there a motion, take a 5-minute recess?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, our 5 minutes have expired. Is there a motion to come back in open session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
We just said, no, the meeting over.
One opposed. One opposed. Let the record reflect that I was opposed because you're jumping ahead and not the treasurer's representative. It's okay, the motion passes, let the record reflect, there's one opposed.
All right, public defender.
To return?
Yeah, it's been 8 minutes.
All right, PD. Probably the big obvious thing here is that phone request.
Right.
He included the phones in his request,
Yeah,
and
he told me
MIS
that I had to
included
take
the
that off.
phones in their request as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he would take it out of his request, he was pretty adamant about it. We're on, public defender?
Where are we on the screen?
Oh,
Capital outlay.
And that's all of his increase because the 2,000 in M&O, that PDT is associated with the phones,
Right.
so. Still playing that card?
so for our working budget purposes, can we plug him back in it? The 51,420? And maybe note somewhere the phones are, his increase was phones and that's taken care of elsewhere.
And we're pretty sure that the MIS.
They requested them.
Increased that, they're like 24, or made allowances for Mr. Rapid's phones.
What, say that again?
Yeah, they said that.
Yeah, they said
Yeah, they covered it for everything.
Were you not in their presentation?
I was.
They said that
Yeah.
this was a whole, this wasn't even the current system that we're doing.
I know.
This is a whole
Whole
new
new for
system for the whole
Yeah, it
campus.
caused some pause, I recall.
Yeah,
Well, we can
sorry.
We can double
I
check.
just wasn't sure, because you.
Well, I worked for OG&E and then
Right.
the flashback started.
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought it was Oklahoma Natural Gas.
That was before
It
OG&E.
was. Just give me a hard time, because it took forever for me to place him at AT&T instead of OG&E.
Okay, so what's the BET questions?
We just took the phone.
Yeah.
That was the phone. Well, if you're gonna take the phones off, you also need to take off the vendor maintenance for the 2,000.
Mhm.
So, we're,
Yeah, that's the,
yeah.
Mhm.
I think MIS made it pretty clear that the phone system needs to be addressed
I
countywide
think so, too.
and not
It's time.
department-wide.
yeah.
So I think that's something we need to seriously look at when we go make our final recommendation.
It's, You got a joke to share?
Oh,
Oh.
I better not.
Oh.
Okay, moving on to purchasing. No new positions, you back up the raises.
Did cell phones get more expensive in the last month?
She was gonna add one stipend for one of her schools. Or maybe it was her, I don't know, an increased stipend.
That's a $30 a month difference that we're using.
And you guys remember we got 2 computers that she was replacing?
Seems like there was some monitors that went down, 2 monitors and 1 computer maybe or something, as I recall.
One thing I've noticed is we've been talking about computers by each department. It seems like the prices fluctuate so much.
Oh, yeah.
Some are $500, some are $1,500. I mean, just for a single computer. So I mean, that's something that MIS, for the most part, should have a pretty good grasp as far as what a outfitted computer should cost, both with and without a monitor.
But there's gonna be some that are gonna be different. For instance, the assessor's office, they're gonna need computers that are gonna be a
Well,
little more
They're gonna have
robust.
bigger monitors and.
A little bit in processor speed, and, I mean,
If they're working GIS stuff and things of that nature, I 100% agree, but if we're talking a standard office computer
Yeah.
and not one that has to be heavy on the graphics side or the RAM side because of the processor capabilities that software might be needed, I get that part, but we're talking some of the basic office work that's been requested for computers.
Mhm.
The prices have fluctuated greatly.
Yeah.
I know when we bought all when the county bought all computers during the XP upgrade, MIS said, here's the computer for if you need just every day, here's if you need to step up, and here's what the price is.
It seems like when Jane presented on this item too, we had asked her, based on what she's gonna lapse, that she could just take care of it then.
Right.
So you can see what,
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because she's projecting $3,100, almost $3,200 less. All right, anything else? If not, let's move on to election board.
who's ahead of us.
He runs the trail.
Two new, well, we don't know if there's any vacant.
I have new on the second one. And I think she said that one is retiring or something.
The one that she's calling vacant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were asking, this is last note
Mm-hmm.
overall.
Yeah, their M&O's out.
And salary and benefits, I mean,
I think it's got to do with the number of elections.
Elections, yeah.
I mean, their savings is on that part-time So the part-time staffing of the election board.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And is that taking into consideration the specials that are, I think one's in July and then September?
She's got
She's
zero
got
on
in
her,
September, she's got,
am I seeing that right? She's gotten zero on her request from Triton from 16,550.
Can we get on that plan?
Is yours show up? Yeah.
54026.
yeah, she does have zero.
The heck's with that?
Larry, is that other special election in July or June?
September?
No, it's another
Primary?
primary
I think it's, I
in
don't know.
July.
No, it's June.
June.
It has been June unless the legislature changes the timing again.
I don't know.
Right, it's been June primary, September runoff, November.
Yeah, I think it was a special one, though, wasn't a normal.
Yeah, the one Norman?
I guess that wouldn't be for us anyway.
No. I don't think they guess Norfolk County.
I think one question on there is that Triton.
Triton,
That
for sure.
16,500.
You backed out the one new position then?
Yeah.
Now, under part-time, is she saying precinct office supplies under a salary, or does that need to be in and out?
I think, I remember us talking to her about that, but.
We just want salaries to reflect salaries.
Maybe we need to ask that question too. Does anybody remember that? Seemed like it came up. I didn't write a note.
Oh,
Remember?
yeah, I do remember, and I'm trying to,
Oh,
I
it's
think
the personnel that gets the office, the
The-
election stuff ready.
Yeah.
She's the one
And
that
it's
does what
one
they call
person
it.
for that, and then
Yeah.
90, and
Yeah,
then
she
just,
prints all
yeah.
the, okay, I remember now.
It's July 11th for District 44.
That's Cleveland?
No, it's southwest part of the county.
Shorty, see?
Oh, okay.
That's July 11th. And they just announced that less than a week ago, so after she was
So
prepared
that's-
this.
Yeah, so that's not reflected in this.
Kelly, can you put that down as well, to follow up with her, if there's
Another election.
any other special elections that they need to add to their budget?
Okay.
Danny, the new position, you got 37,000, and the fringe benefits, you get 21,000.
Mm-hmm, one.
Right.
Wow, that seems,
Because of the health premiums.
I guess, yeah. Those numbers are just really close together.
They are.
All right, HR and health and safety. Okay, the financial administrator position at 40,389.36. That's Kelly Thomas, right?
Uh-huh.
That should probably be in the previously,
Mhm.
position previously paid from other funds. Right?
Well,
Because it's not a new position for him, it was paid for out of the
yeah, but do you
commissioners.
really want to deduct that? Does that kind of have to, isn't it?
No, you're not deducting it, it's just that's so we know where the salary difference is. Because if you look at the 17-18 request on salaries, and then you look at the 16-17 budget on salaries, and you get that difference, well then if you subtract out the raises, then it leaves a chunk of money, and you don't know where that chunk of money, what it's associated to. This tells you it's associated to an employee that was paid for out of another fund.
Okay.
I think I'm okay, knowing and seeing that it's reduced on the other side.
Kind of wash.
Let's leave it there, but let's make sure we.
Well, yeah, it doesn't have to necessarily be in there,
I
as
see
long
what you're
as
saying.
we all remember when we're looking at that's where that difference is.
I feel like this situation's different than like, say, ours with our people, we're trying to shift and maybe.
Not shifting within the same funds that are for the same departments.
Right.
I would just right click and add a comment of that's for this, so we can remember when we go back and look at it.
Well, we definitely need to sign.
Maybe not.
And it probably shouldn't reduce the recommended.
Right.
No.
That's why I'm saying, just put a
Right.
sticky note saying this is actually this position.
But right now, it's reducing the number.
Right.
Okay, well then, we could take it out of there and put the comment box on the 358,000 salary and wages and put 40,000 with
Yeah, I like
Kelly
that.
Thomas. I mean, we could do it like that. And then need to do it on the fringe benefits as well. The 133, 323, we need to put the 21,712.
I guess he's getting her in parking too.
Well, and M&O and capital, all of that stuff
all of
should
it
be
shifted over.
associated.
Well, actually, I don't think Dan changed his budgeting on that. He told me he didn't need to make any changes.
Because I think he had.
He had already
had previously
Planned on it.
planned on it, yeah. Well, and then kind of like the financial administrator, the other position, part of it was funded out of MIS, so. Just as long as
Again,
we're
as long
all,
as we see on MIS that it's not.
yeah. Anything else? Well, if you guys don't mind, let's skip IT, since there was a little bit of confusion on those lines and everything. We can come back to that when he's here.
Does anyone know what KED is?
It's the,
The
Automatic
Goes in
internal
journal,
defibrillator.
defibrillator.
Oh, okay.
So if you have a heart attack, we can shock you.
All right, facilities management. else?
Does that one show in the system on the one that I gave you that the increase is 193,608.04 on the total then, other things? I want to make sure, no?
That's the old one.
Oh,
What should the difference be?
193,608.04.
I've got 143,608.
Yeah, that one didn't get changed either then.
Yep. And you're saying it should be 193?
Yeah, the totals in capital didn't carry over.
Let's see.
Any other discussion? Okay. On the facilities custodial.
Not much there.
No.
I mean, it's basically
Mm-hmm.
Contracts
More
and-
for the-
supplies.
All right, planning commission. Yeah. Any discussion on this one?
I mean, I think it seems to me everybody acknowledged he's got enough in his special revenue to pay for it again this year. And if he starts to get in trouble, we'll put something on the watch list and try to.
I think, I partially agree. I think irregardless of whether, I don't think we should wait till he gets in trouble. I think we should put something on the watch list at the very beginning, at day one. That way we're tracking it. Because I don't want it to be a surprise in 9 months.
Put it for the full year, the first month, and reduce it by a 12th every month as
Well,
we go through.
maybe not that, but maybe half, 50% of the budget, or, I mean, we can discuss that and figure out what we want, but I think we need to have something on the watch list for planning from day one.
I agree.
All right, nothing else, court services?
Just the raises.
Health insurance went down a whole bunch. I don't remember what the deal was. I guess we lost some employees or something.
And the ones he hired, maybe single coverage or anything.
Yeah, let's ask that question. Let's make sure that there's not an error there. other than that,
Down 12.
you what?
Yeah, it is down.
Anything else on that one? Okay. Sheriff's up next.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Are you gonna add the new employees while we're on it?
You bring up the benefits for the new employees.
Uh-oh, you didn't put that on there.
Oops. It calculated though. I will tell you it calculated, because I went back and made sure that, because it went in, the budget worksheet, and then I calculated, it was calculated there, that they match what was above it. Let me go back and verify that in that document.
Did you use the $650 figure for your health insurance on those 46?
Yeah, 'cause that's what we determined the average per employee was.
Danny, you'll need to add the medical in too, won't you?
You got it?
358, 800 was the medical for the,
Yeah, and the overall budget, that was in there correctly. We just missed to fill it out on that one spot. So on that worksheet, the computations were based on the overall.
And the number of individuals you're gonna previously pay from other funds,
Say it one more time.
the total number of, positions previously paid from your special revenue funds.
Would have been some of those field service positions, and the courthouse was a mixture this year, a little bit in general fund, a little bit not.
Yeah, I guess we need a breakdown of that also.
I mean, trying to break that down, I'd have to go back and look at each individual payroll to see where each person was funded out of. Because again, the way that our SMDs were submitted last year, were not submitted in this fashion. And that the way the budget board funded us was not in line with our SMDs documents.
Danny, that, the fringe benefits there, that 283
Yeah.
number that you put,
Yes.
we need, that needs to be the 19.65% of the 1289 plus the medical, right?
Right.
The 358,800, so that number should be 612,
What are you
176.53.
reading, the 350? Oh, okay. Sorry. Gotcha.
If we can't determine the amount previously paid from another fund, do we do it by math? Like take current budget minus raises minus new positions?
That's one way you could do it.
I'm not sure
that still wouldn't really put you, I mean, it puts you probably close, but we weren't positioned to set up all the pension assets fund last year, and so that was one thing we really tried to do this year when we built this, was take that approach in the mind that the budget board directed us to last year. With us already setting the budget and how the estimate needs and how the funds are going to flow. Last this year, that was taken when we filled everything. Where we funded, I worked backwards, essentially, and funded the commissary out of special revenue. That's where those funds go, and those are dedicated. And then filled in servicing special revenue based on the projected revenues and filling in those positions as we went. And then in general fund, we put the core services, detention, courthouse, as well as 2 of the field services operations, which were serving court papers that judges issue, and the warrant squad or warrant team, however you like to put it. So those were, that's how we built it this year. Kind of backwards, forwards.
And be like 3.2. Not sure how to figure that out.
Well, if you take the 46 new positions and subtract that from the salary ask, and then subtract that number from the 18 million, that should give you the salary number that was paid from another fund, right?
Just something else, we need to ballpark.
Your salary budget's actually 16,461,168, not the, right, because you had to move some down M&O for the 90%.
Correct. Which is why I look at our budget worksheet, at 16,461,168, and then benefits were just over 7.5. And then M&O was at 10.29. Can we give you exact?
So,
You feel like adequate adequately shows your increase in salaries or where we are.
I mean,
Or leave it.
again, it goes back to,
Yeah.
we weren't, it wasn't set up that way to begin with last fiscal year. So we really tried to take that concept when we budgeted for this fiscal year. And you're gonna see, when you look at M&O, a fairly large increase, but that's somewhat misleading as well, because we paid for a decent amount of the jail M&O expenses out of our special revenue accounts this current year, because we weren't really prepped or set up to do it this way. And so for all those monies that we offset with our special revenue based on what we were budgeted general fund, and that frees up a little bit to we had to offset some things here and there. We did that by moving people between general fund and service fee and special revenue. And really, it was like playing Tetris every month, as Aaron can say. We had to design a special spreadsheet to try to figure out how to determine who gets paid out of which fund, which month. So that's always, it changes every month right now. And we set it up this way until we know these people will always be paid out of this account. These people will always be paid out of this account, with the exception of if we have maybe a slight revenue fluctuation in our specials. Then we might have to slide between those for people that were already budgeted for within those accounts. Maybe DOC's check doesn't come in that month and it gets delayed a month, so we might have to switch things around. But we designed it to where the people that we are proposing in each of these funds and the way we outlined it, that's where it's going to be. And so that makes it a lot simpler and more transparent. Last year, as I explained to you all, we had 4 categories. We had law enforcement support, detention support. I didn't think those categories were as transparent as it could be, so we broke it down. Even under the prior sheriff, we had started building these categories a little bit different, where we had core services, which were things that were absolutely necessary, regardless of what operations the sheriff's office has. And then detention services, and then field services, and courthouse security. Because when people say law enforcement, they think immediately patrol, but there's so much the sheriff's office does outside of that that's we're required to do, like certain court papers and court processing. When the judges say this needs to be served, more than once has to go and serve it. So those are things that we try to take into consideration in how I place these positions in the different funds. And like I said, we work from our special cash accounts, and we budgeted based on the projected revenues for this upcoming fiscal year, and took into consideration any known reductions in revenue. Like we knew Oklahoma City's contract was going to be $626,000 less this coming year. So we took that into consideration as well. And so when you look at our special revenue budget, you're going to say, well, you're budgeting for less than 90% of the current fiscal year. Absolutely. Because we're not expecting it to be at 90%. We're expecting it to be lower than that, closer to $1 million shorter than what it was this year. In large part due to that Oklahoma City contract, also some of the DOC JNSs, and then the 10% you get budget for. So I feel really pleased with the approach we took this year, and it's different. It's definitely different. I will say that. I hope it's more transparent.
John, did you say that you think you're estimating your revenue from your Oklahoma City contract to be less this year than last year?
It will be $626,000 less.
How come?
Because their average number of Oklahoma City inmates is lower. Oklahoma City bases their contract on the average number of inmates per day they saw in the prior year. And while they were working towards compliance with some of the better recommendations and trying to reduce some of their municipals, I think what we're seeing is they're releasing more in the field with a citation or on an OR than they are bringing down to the county jail. And so we saw that reduction from the average of last fiscal year to this year, and that's the reason for the $626,000 reduction.
Your daily rate went up a little bit.
With them, it went up, whatever this whatever the CPI increase was, that's how the Oklahoma City likes to negotiate their rate.
Yeah.
And so that's what we went with. So yes, the rate did slightly go up, but their overall average went down. So therefore you have a lower contract amount.
Gotcha.
Anything else? Okay. All right. And juvenile.
There's some concerns previously, were those addressed?
Well,
I missed their presentation. I went back and looked at their explanations of some of them. I guess one of the questions that I would have for them whenever they come back to us is they keep referencing we have to spend all this additional money in preparation for ACA accreditation. Well, if you're, Siri thought I was talking to her. Why are you saying that just now to get the ACA accreditation? Typically those accreditations set up based on what you've been doing. So why was it not being spent before? Was it needed before, or why now? Are all these additional things needing to be done? And on their food costs, I know one of the questions Cody brought up was how are they coming up with that? I know last year we looked at kind of the CPI for food. Going back and looking at, since they're cooking everything in-house and they're strictly buying their product and then making it themselves, it puts it in a certain category. And that CPI increase was almost zero this year. I know they put it out for bids, that makes things fluctuate a little bit. But it was commodity prices over the last fiscal year, or last calendar year, I guess, that's how they set it up. It really hasn't fluctuated that much unless they're seeing an increase in their population. And then that would warrant more food. So I went back and listened to that, or had Melissa fill me in on some of that. I don't recall them addressing kind of what their population was versus this year versus last year.
Are there structural things for the accreditation that they're working in?
Well, a lot of the things they were talking about, I think when I read this, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, it was like fixing ceiling tiles and light bulbs and house cleaning type odds and ends, like daily maintenance stuff.
And binders, or binders and other stuff too, but.
Additional janitorial supplies to ensure the facility is in the best possible shape prior to the audit.
Danny, you asked the question, the 71,000 moving, how they're gonna save that money. Were you satisfied with the answer that we received, or do you need more information?
I think I'm good with what they provided. I do think it'd be good to have them back here for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, I personally, I don't know if you saw anything different than me, but I didn't see anything as far as a breakdown on where we're saving 71, or where they're projecting saving $71,000 to be able to move it and then need that plus an additional 80 for next year. With the, and I'm not trying to be picky, I just don't see it. And, I mean, if somebody else does, please let me know. So I think maybe some more information on that, Kelly.
So you're just wanting me to make sure they're here at the next meeting, is that what you're basically?
Well, we do, I want to communicate with them that some information that we'll need, that way hopefully they'll be able to have that information for us.
But that may or may not be the next meeting.
Correct. And then she had volunteered to come down. I didn't know how far we would get through, and I told her that we were going to be talking about stuff, coming up with questions, and I'm sure that we would want her to come back, and instead of her sitting around, I mean, she's more than welcome, anybody's more than welcome to come in here, but she's just going to get away, and then we can get the questions, and she can come back when we actually schedule the time, so. Did you get all the new positions and raises and all of that stuff?
Have new positions.
Doesn't look like it. I know you started.
Yeah, but they weren't funded the prior year. Those were all new. That's where you're needing to move the money around. Danny, on that, yeah, there's an additional $24.59 because they were anticipating giving raises to those folks as well.
Are these people on the payroll, it shows started 3/17 and then?
But the raises for the new employees, for whatever reason, broke out into she put it in the fringe, that additional fringe benefit for that amount.
Where's the additional 2459?
See where the
Under additional
paid
staffing.
fiscal year 18, 5% raise under the section 3.
Last line item.
Right there.
Gotcha.
I do have, on their, I may have missed someone saying it, but they say additional staffing, section 3. They show 10 positions they're adding, yet number of employees down at the bottom for that line, they're showing 28. Or am I just completely misreading that? So if you look at section 2, when they talk about additional staffing vacancies,
I see it.
there's 10, but then there's almost 3 times as many down under section 4.
Okay.
That'll make a little bit of difference.
Yeah, about a $200,000 difference.
For her, it means just pennies on the dollar, but yeah.
Did you get that, Kelly, on the medical? Okay, thank you. All right, anything else on juvenile? All right, emergency management.
fund?
Are you back on juvenile?
No, general fund for emergency management.
Telephones or radios?
54021, it says telecommunications.
Yeah, it's me radio. That's radio.
Yeah, it's radio.
That he was referring to.
Okay, the second telecommunications, is that radios as well? So that's 54108. Or are those the phones that were?
Knowing what they do,
Field related,
they were radio related, if I recall, had nothing to do with T1 lines
Okay,
to
and then,
some extent.
and then under 5500, 55200 is telecommunications equipment for another 13,500.
Telecom
Those were
services.
definitely the T1 stuff.
That was, yeah, the end pieces for the T1, or the fiber. Okay, anything else on emergency management? All right, social services?
She went down for him, or is it?
Yeah, now, on the computers and stuff, did we talk to her about having lapse money as well, and maybe being able to purchase?
Oh, we mentioned it at several of them.
Yeah.
$27,000.
Okay, nothing else on social services?
I'd make a motion we adjourn.
What do we have left? We got
Christie has to be in.
free fair,
I need to leave before.
Free fair, the district, engineering, economic development.
Welcome.
and the engineer.
Yeah, we still have capital projects.
I'd press my motion.
I'm sorry?
I'd press my motion.
Okay.
Anybody want to
I'll
second it?
second it. You wanna-
We want to just recess?
Yes.
Okay. I'll remove my, and make a motion to recess the call of the chair.
We just set a specific time.
Yeah, we have to say a specific time.
What's the next meeting schedule?
Or, well, I don't know when the regular schedule.
We'll go for afternoon?
Tomorrow afternoon work for people?
Yeah, we have capital.
Check at 1 o'clock and see if it's available.
Well, we can schedule it for here, and then if we have to move it, we can host that. So, all right, there's a motion to recess until 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon in this room. Is there a second?
You have it.
Not yet.
Oh.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.